What's going on, everybody? So today I got kind of a special treat for you. It is a gear review of probably what I like to feel is one of the most overlooked pieces of gear you can have with you, not only in the outdoors, but literally as an everyday carry item. And that is the bandana. Traditionally here in America, bandanas are 22 inches by 22 inches. For those of you living in other countries that don't use the inch system, that's 55.8 centimeters by 55.8 centimeters. Traditionally, a bandana is a square piece of cloth with a decorative pattern printed on it. Now, let me give you a little bit of history on this wonderful piece of textile. The bandanas, as they are commonly known today, can trace their origins back to the late 17th century in the Middle East and Southern Asia. In fact, the word bandana is thought to come from either the Hindi or Urdu, both of which the word bandandu, I'm probably butchering that. I'll put it up on screen here because I know I'm butchering that. Loosely translate as a tied or bound cloth. All right, now it was also in this region that block printing was born, and they started block printing the fabrics to give them a cool look. These square pieces of printed fabric soon began making their way to Europe in the early 18th century by way of the Dutch East India Trading Company. And from there, everywhere the Dutch East India Trading Company went, which is pretty much most of the world. Okay? Now, what's interesting is, like a lot of things, the colonies, which would later become America, did things a little bit differently than the rest of the world. In the midst of the fight for the American independence and an effort to stem revolutionary propaganda, the British imposed a colonies-wide ban on printing. As legend will have it, in an act of defiance to British rule, Martha Washington commissioned a printmaker in Philadelphia named John Hewson to print a square handkerchief as a gift for her husband, George Washington. Hewson printed the cotton fabric with images of then General George Washington alongside military flags and cannons. After we won our war for independence, tales of this legendary print made their way into the public consciousness. A replica of the bandana was mass-produced and became extremely popular, and the American love affair with the bandana was born. And the rest is kind of history. For myself, my introduction to the bandana, I was a very young man at the time. I was in the military, and I had an OD green bandana that I learned to tie around my head pirate style. Well, at least that's what we used to call it. And the back end of the bandana would cover the back of your neck for a little bit of sun protection, stuff like that. And around that time, I was heavily into motorcycles, and bandanas and motorcycles here in America just seem to go together like peanut butter and jelly, let me tell you. But the real reason I want to get into this is how versatile this little piece of cloth is. And here are just some, and I got to emphasize, this is just some of the uses that this little piece of cloth has. There's many more I'm not even going to mention. So, if it's clean, you could use this as an improvised bandage. You could wet this down, tie it around your neck as a cooling towel. You could tie this whole thing or rip it in strips and tie it to trees for a trail marker in certain situations. You can have it folded up like this and use this to grab a hot pot off the campfire. It can also be used as a dish rag when you're cleaning your dishes at the end of the night. It can be used as a towel or napkin. Tie the four corners together and you make a neat little bag. Roll it up, tie it around one of your arms or legs that have been injured, and you can use it as a tourniquet. wet it down, tie it over your face, and you can use it as a mask against smoke inhalation. Like if you were caught in a forest fire, worst case scenario. Tying it over your head and everything, having it off the back like I described earlier for sun protection. You can drape this over your water bottle if you're getting water out of a stream or creek, and use this as a pre-filter to get all the big stuff from entering your water bottle. Later on, you'd have to obviously boil or chemically treat that water. You can wrap gear in your backpack with a bandana or two, so it'll muffle that gear so it won't be banging together. You can soak a bandana like this in oil, like you'd have your cooking oil, wrap it around the end of a stick, and boom, you got a torch like you're in an Indiana Jones movie. You can wrap this up and tie it around your head as a sweatband. Also, you can tie it around your head as improvised ear muffs. Bring it down over your ears for cold weather. You can bind a stone in this and tie a line to it to throw a line over a tree limb to get your bear bag up in the air, get your food off the ground. And last but not least, in a certain situation, you can tear this up, stuff it in your tin, and turn it into char cloth. And like I said, that's just some of the multi-uses of a bandana. I recommend that if you don't have one in your camping gear, please just put one in. They're very inexpensive. You can get one for for next to nothing. I mean, I've had a bunch like this, red and blue ones, forever. Last time I bought one, I think it was under $2. It was like $1 something. Who knows with inflation. But, like I said, it could save your life. You could use this to signal. Like if you're lost and you hear a aircraft going over, there's so many uses. It's just nuts. When you really start thinking about it, it's kind of crazy. And a bandana like this, we will weigh it just to give you an idea of how little it weighs. Okay, we're going to do kilograms first. And it weighs all of 18 grams. That's 5/8 of an ounce. It's not even a full ounce. Yep. I think that's a small price to pay in weight for the versatility this little piece of cloth gives you. And that's all I got to say about that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on later out in those woods.